This affair is by invitation only, Fräulein. Your papers, please. Danke, Fräulein. I'll return this pass when you're leaving. Enjoy yourself this evening.
I know the dagger was heisted. I might even know who done it, but I ain't talking.
If you know, why won't you go to the police?
All I got is a suspicion. I got nothing hard. Besides, what have the cops done for me lately?
This is in the interests of justice. Who are you trying to protect?
I'm trying to protect me. Now flip.
You ask yourself if you can handle the task set before you, then demonstrate your characteristic pluck by resolving to do your best.
Augustini. Augustini, yeah, that name rings a bell. Oh yeah, ain't he the concierge at the plaza?
Heard any good rumors lately?
Maybe, or maybe not. What's it worth to you?
Well, I don't have any money right now.
Then I ain't got no rumors for you, Toots.
Bonjour, Miss Bow. Dr. Carrington told me you were covering this party for the newspaper. I'm Yvette Delacroix.
That's right, Miss Delacroix. I'm writing the social news column.
Ah, the social news. I was thinking you were here about the burglary.
The burglary? Of course not. The newspaper would never assign a female cub reporter like myself to such an important story.
Ah, you are probably being correct, Miss Bow. Miss Bow, I am not wishing to be the rude person, but I must keep mingling this evening unless you have this specific question. This Big Easy, it used to be the good place of the business for me, no? Then I got this job, so I don't have to do that anymore.
What kind of work did you do at the Speakeasy?
I was the hostess there for a while.
With your appearance, you must have gotten a lot of tips.
I suppose you could be calling it that. I got the very big tips. You should ask Dr. Miklos or Dr. Smith about that. It is terrible to think someone could break into this museum and steal something so valuable. Monsieur Heimlich, he is all broken up about it. although he doesn't show it.
How did Dr. Carrington react to the burglary?
Dr. Carrington is a very dignified man. There is not much you can learn from his face. He seems to have taken the burglary very well, although he was angry with Wolf about the poor security.
Do you have any idea who might have stolen the dagger?
There are many suspicious people here tonight who could have done it. The Countess, for example, or the little man Ziggy. But I have not the proof, you understand?
What do you make of the theft of the dagger, Dr. Carrington?
It's simply beastly. What is the world coming to when crepuscular ruffians can invade a museum like Visigoths?
Do you have any idea who could have done such a thing?
Not at all. But if I did, I'd be tempted to teach the brute a lesson.
Good evening, Dr. Carrington.
Good evening, Miss Bow. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. My name is Laura Bow.
I am Ramses Najia, Miss Bow. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
This is quite a party. Does the museum always have a big fundraiser when they open a new exhibit, Dr. Carter?
No, but they've never had such an important exhibit opening here before. And I'm an important curator with an important salary, so the museum wouldn't have been able to keep me employed here without financial assistance.
You must be very important for the museum to go to so much trouble.
Naturally. The museum is lucky that I accepted this position as the head of their new Egyptian antiquities department. Why, my name alone will attract more visitors and more money to the museum.
Any chance that the Tutankhamun exhibit will make a stop here on its American tour?
No. I'd hate to embarrass my relative by putting his Tutankhamun artifacts on display here. They pale by comparison to my own great discoveries, such as the dagger of Amun-Ra.
Of course. How silly of me to think otherwise.
Yes, that was rather silly of you.
Since you're an expert on the subject, what can you tell me about Egyptology?
I don't have time to explain the intricacies of my profession to a neophyte. If you're truly interested, I'd suggest several years of difficult study on the subject at one of your better universities. Once you've finished that, you can talk to me again.
You must be very upset about the burglary.
Quite so. If I ever find out who stole my dagger of Amun-Ra, they won't live to regret it, I can assure you.
Oh my! Do you have any idea who would do such a thing?
I have my suspicions, but I need more proof before I subject him to the full force of my wrath.
Have the police learned anything?
Those incompetents. Hardly. They couldn't even find any clues around the dagger display.
Sounds like the burglar might have been a professional.
Perhaps. It's more likely the local constable couldn't find a clue if it jumped up and bit him on the bum.
Are you an Egyptologist, Mr. Najia?
No, not professionally.
I have always been interested in the history of my country and made a point of studying it. I am particularly interested in ancient Egyptian religions.
Mr. Najia, would you have any idea who might have stolen the dagger of Amun-Ra?
No, but whoever did should be boiled alive. He should be fed to hungry crocodiles. His guts should be strung from the pyramids. He should... Oh, excuse me. I get a little passionate on the subject.
Quite all right, Mr. Najia. I understand. Hi, I'm Laura Bow.
Being snobbish high society types, these partygoers just ignore you entirely. You're simply not a part of their social circle.
There I was, standing on the hillside above the excavation in the Valley of the Kings, with the faithful Mahmud describing the dance of the seven veils to me in great detail, when a shout rose up from the workers below us. Sensing an important discovery at hand, since I have a sixth sense about these things, I scurried downhill to see that a step had been uncovered in the sand. It turned out to be the entrance to the temple of Amun-Ra. I took the trowel from the bosquefere and cleared the sand away from the rest of the steps myself, revealing the entrance to the temple. The seal of the necropolis was intact on the door seal, indicating that the temple had not been disturbed. I knew that fate had brought me to the discovery I had been seeking for so long. Tireless after my exertion in clearing the staircase, I used a sledgehammer to break through the sealed doorway. Within lay the greatest accomplishment of my considerable career. Hidden within the darkness, untouched for thousands of years in the isolated temple, lay the magnificent dagger of Amun-Ra, the greatest discovery of modern archaeology.
Good show.
Magnifique! Very impressive, Dr. Carter.
So, that's when you heisted it, right?
No, I didn't heist it, you annoying little man. I took it out of the temple and showed it to the workers, who immediately fell upon their faces, all 350 of them, to show respect for my accomplishment.
That's hard to believe, Dr. Carter. Egyptian workers have proudly worked the archaeological digs for many years. I would not think they'd exaggerate their respect for you to such an extent.
But then you weren't there, were you, Mr. Najia?
Well, no, that's true.
And when was the last time you were in Egypt, Mr. Najia? You seem to have lost some of your accent.
Well, it has been several years.
I thought as much.
Your discovery really was quite a remarkable achievement, Dr. Carter.
Was remarkable, Dr. Carrington? You mean it is a remarkable achievement. There has never been anything like it before.
Quite so. Correction noted, Doctor.
If you will all be excusing me, I see a man I need to speak to.
Certainly, Miss Delacroix. Certainly.
Boy, did he bet. She's some dish, ain't she?
Yes, those French women really have something. I don't think my wife would ever have done it in a mummy case.
In my vast experience of women from different lands, I tend to agree with you, Mr. Niger. I balked when a certain French woman suggested we have a deep conversation on the back of a dinosaur, but I was pleasantly surprised by the results.
Yes, Miss Delacroix is certainly the cat's pajamas, as the Americans would say.
Yeah, we does come up with some good sayings, don't we?
Quite.
Good Lord, I hadn't realized a woman was present. Please excuse us, Miss Bow.
Oh, I wasn't actually listening to you gentlemen, Dr. Carrington. I just happened to be standing here. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Laura Bow, and I'm covering this event for the Tribune Society news column.
Good evening, Miss Bow. I'm the Countess Lavinia Waldorf Carleton. Please be sure to spell my name right in your story.
Heard any good rumors lately?
Maybe, or maybe not. What's it worth to you?
Well, I don't have any money right now.
Then I ain't got no rumors for you, Toots.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Bow.
Why, that's me, silly child. Countess Lavinia Waldorf Carleton. Miss Bow, you must be sure to avoid such dens of iniquity. They can only ruin a young lady's reputation.
Do you know much about Egyptology, Countess?
Only a little, dear girl. I find it quite diverting.
You ask yourself, what do you make of the theft of the dagger of Ammon-Ra, Countess?
Oh, it's horrid. Simply horrid. What sort of creature would make off with a priceless work of art, I wonder?
Do you have any ideas about who it might have been?
Oh, my, no! I try not to associate with dreadful people, dear girl.
How are you, Detective O'Reilly?
Just fine, lassie. You're looking lovely this evening. If you ask me, missy, they're blowing the whole thing out of proportion. Begorra, you'd think that something important had been stolen.
You don't consider a priceless Egyptian artifact to be important?
Listen, girlie, if I chased down every petty theft that occurred within the nastier segments of the population, I'd be working 30 hours a day.
I would hardly call the Lion-Decker Museum a nasty segment of the population, Mr. O'Reilly. And if you're referring to our Egyptian visitors, shame on you. And don't call me girly.
By me father's whiskers, you're a fiery one, Miss Laura. All right, I won't call you girly, little lassie.
Brian, I'm having the hardest of times keeping my hands off you.
Not here, Yvette. There's too many people.
They are not important. You are the most powerful man here, my Ryan.
What about that Carrington guy? He's president of this museum.
The doctor, he is old and weak. You are the young one and strong.
And what would you be wanting, Miss Bow?
Oh, well, I thought I heard you call my name.
You must have been hearing things. I didn't even mention your name.
Oh, sorry. I've got to be going now. Excuse me.
And what were you doing when that fancy dagger was being stolen then?
Let me see. I was sleeping in my hotel room.
You don't sound too sure about that.
I haven't been sleeping too well since I arrived in this country. I'm tired, so I'm not thinking too well.
You're not sleeping well. Would you be having a guilty conscience then?
I do not understand your meaning, Mr. O'Reilly. Perhaps it is the English. It is such a curious language, not as clear as the Egyptian.
Well, you say the dagger is what brought you to this country. If I were in your position, I'd be tempted to steal it.
Steal what has already been stolen? The dagger of Amun-Ra belongs to the Egyptian people, Mr. O'Reilly, not to Dr. Carter, not to this museum, and not to this country.
I'd be watching what you're saying, Dr. Smith. You're digging your hole deeper with every word.
Amun-Ra will seek his own vengeance on those who have removed his dagger from Egypt. Amun-Ra does not require my help.
You say you were sleeping when it was stolen. Were you alone?
That, sir, is none of your business.
Ah, that's where you're wrong, Dr. Smith. It is my business as long as you're a suspect in the burglary.
A suspect? Do you Americans have no shame? I'm here to gain the return of the dagger by legal means. Ask Dr. Carrington.
I have talked to Dr. Carrington, and I know he told you no dice.
The matter is not settled until the last camel drinks from the water of the oasis.
What's that? Some kind of Egyptian double talk?
Excuse me, sir, but I see a turkey leg on the buffet table that requires my attention.
You must be Dr. Ptah Sheptut Smith. Nice gold ankh you're wearing. This is quite a party, isn't it?
I find it distasteful to celebrate thievery in the name of science. The artifacts in this museum's Egyptian collection do not belong here. They belong in Egypt.
That's only your opinion.
It is the truth. And the thieves who rob Egypt of its ancient treasures will find death waiting for them. Amun-Ra will have his revenge.
I see. Well, nice weather we're having. Would you say this has been a good year for you, sir?
No. The great treasures of my country's past are leaving Egypt in a flood greater than the Nile.
As I understand it, artifacts only leave your country with the approval of the Egyptian Antiquities Service.
Bah! The Antiquities Service is a tool of the British. If they want to steal something, they steal it, just like the ancient tomb robbers. But they will pay, just as the tomb robbers paid whenever they were caught.
That almost sounds like a threat.
I, Patash Uptat Smith, do not threaten. I merely carry out the will of the great Amun-Ra.
Have you heard anything about the burglary?
No?
Do you have any idea who would want to steal the dagger of Amun-Ra?
It has already been stolen once, from Egypt.
I can see I won't get anywhere with you on this topic. Since you're an expert on the subject, what can you tell me about Egyptology?
The study of ancient Egyptian history is of the greatest significance. Many of our modern religious customs originated in the ancient world. The time of the great pharaohs and of the great Egyptian gods was the peak of human civilization. Our modern society is a mere shadow of its former glory when compared to the pinnacle of human development reached by the ancient Egyptians. They knew the truth, and the truth was Amun-Ra. He led Egypt to world domination.
Aren't you exaggerating just a teensy bit?
I would not expect you to understand. You are not an Egyptian, and you are a woman.
What's that supposed to mean?
I grow tired of this topic. Speak of something else if you wish to continue our conversation.
Good evening, Dr. Miklos.
Oh, good evening, Miss Ball.